Issue 183. We started out with Julie calling Locke out and wanting to destroy Knuckles, his own son. And he says that he's no longer Knuckles, only Enerjack. That's still his son. Then Locke wastes time in universe reminding us about something we already know because he just told Julie and Sonic about the weapon 1 issue ago. Viewers are goldfish, apparently. They could have had this in a text blurb instead. Julie proves her loyalty to Knuckles, saying that she doesn't care what he almost did to her, which wouldn't have hurt her anyways, and proves that she realizes Knuckles isn't in control of himself. Locke says the weapon is perfectly humane, even though he just said he was trying to destroy Knuckles, and Sonic randomly says he wants to take a look at the weapon when he was just on Knuckles' side a minute ago. I mean, unless he plans to destroy it, what the hell, Sonic? As Julie is relatably outraged, Locke says that he'll try to warp them as close to the ruins of the Grand Conservatory as possible. Sonic winks at Julie, saying that she will in fact let him do this, implying that he really will destroy the weapon, and they immediately run into the Destructics, including Scourge, who says, "Welcome back, old man. What do you want said in your eulogy?" Considering Locke is planning to destroy Knuckles, I kind of support him saying this. Eggman watches Enerjack Knuckles being used as a battery in the egg grapes, wasting a couple of panels of comic space reiterating what we already know with his generic villain boasting that seriously makes me wish that kind of trope would die. And Dimitri is brought to Snively, saying that with his help, they may be able to depower Enerjack before his disorientation would wear off. Eggman insists that everything's under control, but then Knuckles screams with electricity near him and Snively tells him that they're reading a sudden surge of energy. Dimitri panics that Knuckles is awake, and he damages Eggman's ghost town of a city, breaking free. Why did it take him this long to do this if he's omnipotent? Eggman tells Snively to prepare his Eggmobile, which isn't spelled in one word for some reason, causing me to not even know what it was at first. He says that he'll be sending his egg fleet in later, and Snively says he's going to the bunker after that. Fiona reminds Julie that there wasn't really a time when the heroes fought the Destructics when they weren't either outnumbered or under orders to let them win. Wait, what about when Nate was kidnapped and they rescued Nate? They kind of completely humiliated Drago and stuff with that. Sonic taunts Scourge with a smile that, "This is so sad, even for you. The Destructics are a joke." How? Scourge says that there's perks to being in a team. Even he recognizes this, and it makes sense since he had his old gang back home and even returned to it, being accepted back after they walked out on him, and just sat there as their leader instead of taking his revenge out on all of them like he said he would do. So it's in character for him. Julie asks why Locke can't use his Guardian powers, and Locke explains that it's because his powers only stem from his link to the Master Emerald, and he's not able to pull from the Chaos Force like Knuckles is. Then Julie naturally calls Locke out on how abandoning his duty to guard the Master Emerald got them into this situation because it let Tinnitas get close to it. Locke then naturally points out that everything would have been fine if only Knuckles had performed its duties, as if that justifies him abandoning his own to go try to look for the Brotherhood, who might not even still be alive. Can't Saber at least still be alive, though? Then Archimedes creates some fire, telling the heroes to get inside. Well, maybe it's not Archimedes because he's wearing a cap with the letter A on it, and the last time I saw a fire ant mobile like that, it wasn't Archimedes, but some other evil guy that was never really explained. But instead, he indeed is Archimedes, who leads the heroes into a building, and explains that he doesn't want to use the weapon on Knuckles, and blames Locke for the way Knuckles is so powerful. Sonic's already grabbed the weapon, being a fast thinker in the comic for once, and then the Destructics show up, because Archimedes was too interested in jabbering to the heroes to keep up a line of fire to keep the Destructics out. The Destructics were hired to prevent Sonic from using the weapon on Enerjack, and then Sonic immediately destroys the weapon while being all amusing, making me giggle with his dialogue as he says, "Ooh, well that's the case. I hope you guys aren't planning on charging for overtime. Are we done here?" And then Scourge actually says it was my idea to smash in the first place. I was stunned at that for a couple seconds because, again, he and Sonic aligned for a moment. Both of them wanted the same thing, but for two different reasons. First, they both would have done the same thing in freeing people from the egg grapes, and now they both wanted to prevent the weapon from being used on Knuckles. They're doing the same good things, but for different reasons. Why is Scourge admitting his similarity to Sonic here, though? He's normally really opposed to that. I guess it was pride, and he wanted to try to make Sonic feel bad about being similar to him for once. Sonic then is snarky with Locke, telling him off for trying to destroy his buddy, never mind Locke's own kid, and runs off with a plan to save Knuckles, who is naturally destroying Eggman's evil forces, as I wonder why he didn't do that as the first thing he ever did as Enerjack, considering the whole reason he was made Enerjack in the first place was apparently to get rid of Eggman. Snidely tells Eggman that they've lost over 90% of their ground forces and most of the outlying ghost town city they live in is gone. Enerjack Knuckles immediately sends the missiles with the egg plate back at them to destroy them, and Eggman amusingly agrees to go to the bunker all scared after Dimitri suggests it all deadpan. Knuckles complains all dizzy as if he's surprised that the egg grapes drained power from him, and he says that he has to go to the Master Emerald to recharge, because he's a battery apparently. He goes there saying that his work isn't finished, and then Tinnitas is sarcastic about him doing his work, but before he can brainwash him, Sonic spin dashes at him with his sharp spines, horribly injuring him with them because no, of course not. After Sonic jumps on top of the Master Emerald, pointing out that Scourge did the same thing, so he's not even unique in that respect, Sonic then explains, aligning with Scourge again, that he's going to use the emerald for good instead. He'll neutralize Tinnitas' magic the same way he undid Perfect Chaos, and go super just like that, opting for a temporary transformation. I guess because he's confident enough in his abilities that he doesn't think he needs a permanent transformation. In the next story, Scourge, hours earlier, is asked by Tinnitas what he's doing on top of the Master Emerald. Scourge explains, looking all alarmed, that he's just charging up his warp ring in case the Enerjack plan goes south. I wouldn't expect it to need to be charged up. How often do users of those things have to do that? Most of them wouldn't have access to the Master Emerald. Wouldn't that mean that most warp rings would be useless? Also, I guess this would explain why he doesn't use the warp ring as much as he could later, because he apparently has to go to the Master Emerald every single time he wants to use it often. But can't he just warp to a Master Emerald with the warp ring and charge it up that way? Then Scourge says that he doesn't even get Tinnitas' plan or what it's all about. Tinnitas explains to him that what his plan's about dates back hundreds of years. A few panels are completely wasted recapping the Angel Island rises for the first time and then Dimitri becomes Enerjack's story. Tinnitas explains that after 17 generations of Guardians and 5 Grandmasters of the Dark Legion, all of that resulted in nothing. Tinnitas then explains that his time to the Dark Legion was just a ruse to get him close to what he needed. There, next to some echidnas strapped down looking worried, he could study how the bloodline could channel magic. Fake Tober was of particular interest to him due to his time hiding as a Guardian. He disassembled Dimitri's robot body to learn what he could, while the battle-ragged Brotherhood, I guess that's them there, but they're unrecognizable, were very useful to him. He explains that he tossed the old men into the Twilight Cage, or Twilight Zone. I forgot it was called that. Again, copyright infringement much? He explains that he naturally thought this was a fitting punishment since the Dark Legion had been jailed there so many times. He explains that he had planned on using Remington for Enerjack as we see him in a tube like with Shadow, as Leonda had the drive, but was hard to control. Tinnitas explains that it all began with the entity of Enerjack, and so it'll all be ended by him. And he plans to destroy the Guardian family. I guess because he's mad at them for imprisoning people opposed to the technology ban in the Twilight Cage? It then explains that he wants to destroy everything with Emerald Magic, as Scourge rolls his eyes at him, not exactly looking happy and enthusiastic for causing chaos and mayhem with that plan. This issue is written by Ian Flynn, and has Sonic destroy the weapon that could destroy Knuckles so that he could carry out his own plan to save him. Knuckles of course breaks free of the egg grapes with omnipotent Enerjack power, although I really have to wonder why it took him so long. And after he caused some big damages to Eggman's forces, which he should have done in the first place, Sonic keeps Tinnitas from brainwashing him and goes super with the Master Emerald to fight him, opting for a temporary transformation because unlike Scourge, he's confident enough that he's powerful enough as it is without needing the power boost of a permanent transformation. It was pretty epic. Still wondering why Locke is suddenly evil enough to want to kill his own son though. And the second story is mostly just Tinnitas recapping stuff we already know about Echidna history. Although it at least gives some new information, as he explains that he threw the Brotherhood in the Twilight Cage. I guess that is a fitting punishment for a bunch of magical guardians who never used their powers to take down Eggman, instead selfishly hoarding it, doing nothing. But I really wish Saber hadn't been thrown in there. I liked him a lot. They're not trapped in there for the rest of the comic to please Echidna-hating fans, are they? And the story has a missed opportunity, as not only does it once again not bother to give Tinnitas a proper excuse for why he's evil not to want to destroy everything, since his exhaustion with the fighting between Guardians and Dark Legionnaires doesn't at all lead up to that. But we also don't get to see Scourge show much of a reaction to his plan. I can assume he's rolling his eyes here, but that's about it. Not even a thought bubble saying, this guy's nuts. He'll go to any extremes to spite Sonic, I guess. He's really letting Sonic dominate how he acts, because he's devoting his entire life to rebelling against him, centering his whole life and behavior around him, instead of just doing what he wants as if Sonic never existed at all. He's not really as much of an individual as he thinks, which makes sense since that's how rebels tend to be anyways.